Welcome. It is another episode of the Get to Know Her show. Thank you so much for joining us. I love having you here with me at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday. That may not be when everybody else is watching this, but you're here now, and that's what matters. Today is a very, very special show. My dear friend Natasha Lupish is joining us. She is such a Wonder Woman. You're going to love her. I actually have my Wonder Woman mask here because I'm thinking about her. And I'm so excited to introduce you guys to her and to learn the story of how we met and our relationship and her personal story, which you're going to love. Before we get started, though, I want to point out my beautiful top I'm wearing today. And I think you can see here, check out the sleeves. Aren't they great? I love the length of these sleeves, enough to keep me a little bit warm, but not too warm. Look, I need to readjust my seat here. Not too warm, if you know what I'm saying. And my wonderful clothing designer friend, Brenda Bedome, has designed this top, and it is so wonderful. And I want you all to go on her website and check her out. brendabedome.com. I will leave the information here for you. And remember to use the coupon code Get to Know Her for 13% off. Her fabrics are so wonderful and soft, and I honestly feel like I'm in my PJs right now, and I'm looking stylish. So you'll love Brenda. Check her out. Send me a picture of you in your Brenda Bedome clothes. Let's get Natasha on right now. There she is.
Hello.
I miss you so much. What the hell?
I miss you too.
This is torture.
Yeah, it really is. We went from seeing each other like every other to
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I know. It's so tough.
It really is.
It is. And Natasha, you know what? I have to introduce you in the most special way because you really were there for me without even really knowing me in a time in my life where I needed people around. And I guess we go back 9 years now, I think 8 or 9 years, when you were working in a little boutique in Grimsby and I was selling jewelry to them. And you were doing a lot of the buying at the time.
Yes. Yeah.
And and so, sorry, say that again.
It was crazy times. It was like a whirlwind of how we met, actually.
Yeah.
My second day that I was even really on my own at the boutique. And I had a really, really large sale. I don't know if you remember. Like, it was epic. Like,
yeah.
We're talking $1,500 to a girl who's still very dear to me, actually. So, and you came in to restock the jewels.
Yeah.
And I started selling glamjulz to the same girl. And you were like, who is this dynamo? And where? I'd never met you. I was so new to Trixie's. And it was just this whirlwind of how we met. And instantly we clicked. I was loving your jewels. I was selling them on the spot. It was like my big first sale, like really big sale. And everything else is history.
I know. It's so crazy. And we just I think you and I were laughing our heads off, from the first 5 minutes of meeting each other. Like we were on the same wavelength right away.
Yeah.
And so we had this friendship where I would come in and then you would choose the jewels for the season, and it was really great. And then a few months later, my father was diagnosed with cancer, and I had shared that with you, and you were constantly reaching out. How are you doing? How's your dad doing? And it was so special because you were, at that time, I mean, we had a connection, but you were an acquaintance, right? You were somebody I saw while I was on my travels doing my work. And then my dad passed away, and you called me immediately and said, hey, my dad's timing wasn't the best because he passed away the opening day of the One of a Kind show. And you said, what can I do to help? Can I work the booth for you? And I was like, what? What? And you were so amazing. And those days that you were there were the highest days in sales. I
tried. It was my first time doing the show too, and my first time even seeing the show. I had never been a patron of the site. So I had no idea what I was coming from this little town in Grimsby and walking into that show. And I met Wayne, your husband, because you had to drop off like a cash box. You were in between horrible things with the visitations and things like that. And Wayne came out, and then I went this little tiny, I took the GO train to this big, at the time, I think it wasn't called the Enercare Center, but who knows? Direct Energy.
Direct Energy, yeah.
I walked into this, like, I was, as a shopper, I was in heaven. And so it was great. It was awesome to be able to help you out. And I remember that very vividly, because I think we were actually supposed to share a day together prior to your father passing away. So Tensions was sort of our first time selling together, and that didn't happen, but I did get to sell for you, and it meant a lot to me to be able to help you that way.
Oh yeah, it meant a lot to me too. And again, the rest is history, because if anybody knows the One of a Kind show, they know Natasha is always by my side from that day forward.
I still can't believe we're not going to have one this year, but
I can't believe it either.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw on Instagram, I posted the video of you and I dancing at the late night.
Yeah, I did.
I love
photos ever of us are at that show.
I love those photos. I know. I feel like I should post them all. They're so good. Maybe I'll have to do a collage, a montage of Moni Natasha moments.
Yeah. I mean, how much more fun can you have? You're surrounded by hundreds of artists and thousands of people. The energy, it's just infectious. You can't help but have fun.
Yeah, for sure. And so, you know what, I want to start with I want to ask you about what you always dreamed of being as a little girl growing up. But then I don't want you to let me forget to tell the people the biggest sales lesson you taught me. Remember that woman who came and bought multiple things from the booth? Do you remember that? Anyway, I'm going to remember. Maybe we should just start with, should we start with the best sales lesson Natasha Lupish ever taught me? Okay. So we were working the booth, and there was a lady there, and she couldn't decide between a red necklace or a blue necklace. And I was talking her into the red one, and she bought the red one and she walked away. And you said to me, "Why did you do that?" And I said, why did I do what? You said, "Why did you direct her to the red necklace?" I said, "Because that was the one that looked better on her. She can get the blue one another time." You said, "But maybe she would have bought them both. You didn't even give her the option." And I was like, "What?" And that was a really great lesson about my own limiting beliefs. And that's the kind of friend you are to me. You're always showing me, like, why are you limiting yourself? Like, expand, Matt. And then you took it one step further. You said to me, "Okay, I realize I'm working for you in this booth, but I'm going to walk away now. And the next person that comes here, you are not going to do that. And let's see what happens. And I'm out of here." And you walked the show, you came back, and I had like an $800 sale with one person, and we were jumping up and down, and it was so great.
How many times did I tell you what to do?
I know.
I gotta tone this down. She's my boss. I like to tell you how to do it sometimes.
I loved it. Those are all great lessons. And yeah, I mean, I was holding back, and you could see that, and you were like, no. Yeah, here's how we're going to do it. Yeah. All right. So let's go to little Natasha.
I don't know. Honestly, little Natasha had so many dreams. I think at one point, if you read my little school things, it was law. And to some degree, I still think I should have done that, because I tell you, when I'm having a confrontation with my stepkids, I lay it all on the line in my courtroom. I do not let any stone go unturned. So I don't know, maybe I should have done that. But then I sort of segued into a a business type of accounting sort of, but I think that had a lot of influence to do with a certain someone in my life at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you're 18 and you think you're going to go one way and this is what your life is going to be. So, I think I realized quickly that sitting at a desk wasn't really for me. I don't love to sit and stare at numbers all day. I do love the number part. Like I like goals, I like targets, I like to reach all of that, but to sit and just analyze, it wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really amazing breakthrough in my, oh gosh, how old am I now? I have a coming up, but anyway, we'll just say I had an amazing breakthrough. So I love to shop. I still love to shop. Always will love to shop. And I got a call one day from this lady saying, I got your number from, I think it was Sears back in the day. You buy a lot from a makeup counter, and they gave me your number. And I'm like, I was still dazed and I wasn't grasping the call. And it was this lady from Calvin Klein, and would I like to meet her for a job? And I was like, what? So I was like, okay. I met this woman, and instantly, again, like me and you, like me and my previous owners at Trixie's, I just feel like I somehow mesh with people well.
Yeah.
And we hit it off right away. And she basically offered me this dream job. Like I was going to work for Calvin Klein, and I, was going to promote their products, and I was going to go from store to store, and and the money at the time was amazing because they paid a different way of paying you. It was more like a consultant, more like I ran my own business, and then you had to produce and sell. And quickly I left the little Niagara region and was sent to Toronto, and it was, some really great shining moments. And I hit every sales goal I had to have. I hit targets. The product you got, like, it really was something spectacular for me at the time. So I quickly realized that selling was maybe something I was very interested in.
That's great.
Yep.
So Natasha, tell me about because you and I joke about this in our friendship all the time, what a shopper you are and how I'm not a shopper. And I mean, even with the business, you've been like, listen, you got to talk to the ladies like this. They want to buy. And I'm like, oh, okay. Why would somebody buy 3 things? You're like, what the hell's your problem?
Yeah.
but
said,
what?
Okay, what do you want to buy? Well, nothing. Okay.
Food. I always want to buy food.
Yes. Monica loves her food, people.
But what is it that you like? What is it about the thrill of shopping for you? What do you love about it?
I just love, I love fine things. I'd say my deepest passion is like the handbag sector of the world. But I just love, I guess I'm one of those people that actually likes attention when I'm shopping. Like I want someone to help me. I want someone. So maybe that's why I also sell in a different mannerism, because I think about what I would like. So I don't want the pushy, like, but I do want somebody who kind of caters to me. And I feel that maybe that's just a very special way to, to be connected with somebody. And a lot of people that I do buy from, I do become friends with. You're one of them. Like, I love your jewels from the moment I walked into Trixie's. And one of the first things I bought when I got a paycheck from them was glamjulz. So I like being treated like, special. It's fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Do you ever have buyer's remorse?
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever?
Oh, yes. I wouldn't have buyer's remorse, but sometimes I get that, like, oh, God, what did I just do? I love it. But, and then in my head, I'm like, well, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to offset this? So it's like, I just got to work a little bit harder. Or, I know we touched on in my bio about me and my little one. And I mean, she's the most special thing to me. So of course I segued my shopping into her, right? Yeah. So, I mean, there is a great market and resale value of kids' clothes. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, I really want to buy her those new boots. Okay, well, what can I sell? And I just go to her closet and mix and match and tackle that. So, but yeah, buyer's remorse sometimes. Never to the point where I think I've maybe a couple of things I've actually returned that were maybe like a larger item, like maybe that expensive skin cream or something where I was like, oh,
Yeah.
do I really need it? Okay, let's just take it back. But
Yeah.
I usually the guilt goes away pretty fast.
Yeah, and you really, I mean, you really treasure your things as well.
Oh yeah.
You have a couple of things, like there is the most gorgeous photo of you that I love in your shoe room at your house, where
Oh
you've
yeah.
got all of your shoes. It's such a
My
fantastic picture.
husband took that for me. He's a photographer and he was doing a year in the review site type of thing, and he picked a person every day. And so I
Yeah.
was one he picked, and he sort of photographed you in your element. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And then, of course, you also have your Hello Kitty collection that you love, and that's beautifully
Yeah.
displayed as well in your home. And you know, it's so great when I saw that I thought, oh my God, this is cool. Like you really treasure these collections. And
I,
then we went to visit your mom and dad, and they do it as well. I was like, this is really cool. Like this family,
now you need to go to my
you've been,
does it too.
does he do it? Yeah, like
Oh,
you, that's in your family to really like treasure these things and have them on display and enjoy them, not kind of, oftentimes people buy, and then stuff
I,
gets shoved away. And yeah, so I think that's really nice. That's why I asked about the buyer's remorse, because I feel like you have a real celebration of, you celebrate things because they mean something to you.
yes, and I'm really trying to instill that with Tatiana, my little one, and I think sometimes I
Yeah.
instill it too much, like, "Mommy, I don't want to get rid of that," and I'm like, "Okay, it is a old school bag from when." Yeah, okay, so some things we treasure and some things we don't. But yeah, you can see it
Oh,
in her. You can really see it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She's taking care of her little
Yeah.
things already.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so great. So this is a big story that we got to talk about today, and I am so grateful to you for opening up and sharing your story with us. And so you've walked us through your where you sort of ended up at Calvin Klein, and then I know from there were some not so happy times in your life,
Right.
and
So
so
I did have I was in a relationship that I guess wasn't the best for me at the time.
mhm,
And during my years at Calvin Klein, I really, really became, I would say, obsessed with running. So
mhm.
I decided, one day I'm going to go for a run. And okay, the next day I'm going to go a little further, and the next day a little further. And before you know it, I was running 10K every single day, every day. Didn't matter the weather, it didn't matter. I remember vividly one Christmas Eve, and my dad just so upset with me because like I had to get this run in, and I guess I was, getting thinner as time went on, but I didn't really notice it. But I did notice the obsession I had with it. And then I remember being at work one day in Toronto, and I just felt a little bit off, and I felt, maybe I should just go home. And of course, I ran home, went home to go for a run, and literally, like, my legs just wouldn't run.
Wow.
And up until that point, I did have very close friends. My best friend Tara, she definitely tried to intervene a bit, and she tried very hard with my mom and my dad. And again, I wasn't living at home; I had my own house. So my parents were kind of like, "Well, I think she's a little obsessed, but I'm not worried about her."
Mhm.
And she took it one step further. She like went to my employers and finally like I don't know if you've ever seen
Wow.
the TV show Intervention, but it was like I had a real life intervention with my employers, and they just said, you need help, and we're going to get you help, but effective now you're going to take a leave. And it was kind of this, I remember coming home and crying, and this big eye opener, and what was I going to do? How was I going to function? What my initial thought was I can't not have a paycheck, because this is like, I still, in my head, I had no issues. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's, okay, I'm going to stop running. Okay, I promise I'll do this. But it wasn't to the point where I felt that anything needed to be done. But
Mhm.
in hindsight, a lot needed to be done.
Wow.
So
And so that was the beginning of it, Natasha? And were you also starting to eat less at that time
oh,
as well?
oh
In
yeah,
conjunction with the running?
function. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
my I became very regimented, like what I would eat and little tiny things. And I mean,
Yeah.
at that point, I probably still went downhill further. I mean, at my worst point, I was in the 55-pound range. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty much I remember going to one doctor for like a consultation, and she literally looked at me and she said, you're too sick for me to, I can't help you. I need to and I remember thinking, I don't understand what that means. I'm too sick. Like, what does that mean? And basically, I was not in her expertise field. She needed to move me to someone who was in. And so that's when it all came sort of crashing down, that this was something serious and something that, I either had some choices to make. And unfortunately, at the time, I chose the path of, I still didn't really see the issue. It was, okay, well, I'll go to these doctors, I'll talk to people, I'll do what you want me to do, but I'm still not going to eat that food over there, or I'm still not going to do, and then I spent quite a few years, like 2 years exactly, without really working, doing much, just sort of trying to survive. But in my head, again, I was still surviving well. I thought, like, I can
Hmm.
still walk. I walked every day with my dad. I took my dog. I had a dog, a wonderful dog at the time, and Prince and I would still do our thing. And my marriage, my relationship dissolved at the time, but I was on my own, but still thinking, okay, I can power through this. But
Wow. And Natasha, was there any depression along with that? Any suicidal thoughts? Anything like
no,
that?
see,
No.
that's crazy. Is
Yeah.
that the people that were trying to help me, it was like this bizarre anomaly that I felt great. Like, I was like,
Yeah. It's like they were treating what was typical, but it wasn't typical for you.
wow, right. Plus, the
Hmm.
other thing that was hard was, you have to remember, I was in my mid 30s. So a lot of the groups or things that I was put into, I was
Yeah.
with 15 and 16-year-olds. And so it was almost like I took on this, like, oh, I'm going to help you motherly role,
Wow.
because, it typically is stereotyped as a young person's issue.
Yeah.
Even with my parents, I mean, my parents, God bless them, are the most amazing people ever. They
Yeah.
went to counseling, they went to groups, and the same thing. My mom was like, the advice that they would get is, you just need to take away the fat-free milk. And my mom was like, okay, my daughter doesn't live in my house. Like, I
Yeah.
can't deal with it the way you're dealing with it, because she's not 16. She's 35.
Yeah. She's
If
a
she's gonna
woman. Yeah.
if she's gonna drink the fat-free milk, she's gonna drink the fat-free milk. There's nothing I'm gonna do about it. It's
Wow.
short of forcing her. And again, that's another issue. They couldn't force me, right? They wanted me to do
Right.
inpatient programs, and at that age, you can't be forced. So
Wow. So when you were in the sessions with these other girls, was there anything relatable, or did you ever feel like you looked at these girls and even though you were not taking in the food, that you were struggling with this yourself without actually even admitting that there, like you were saying, like
yeah,
it's like, well, I'm okay with it. I'm in control, right? I
right.
know how to handle this. But when you're looking at these girls, did you did you feel like saying to them, like, you need to eat and you need to nourish yourself? Like,
For
was there
sure.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, great connection.
Interesting.
I still have one, actually. One of the girls that I met many years ago. I mean, we connected in some really bizarre ways, that our paths crossed. And recently, again, on one of these mom sites that I'm on with Facebook, all of a sudden her name popped up, and I messaged her, and it was like, so yeah, she was one of these younger girls that I was kind of like coaching, and now I see her like she's a mom too, and it's like, wow, like, but yeah, of
Wow.
course I did. Some of them I became very attached to.
Hmm.
There were some 15, 13, like, it was crazy. Yeah.
Amazing. So what changed for you on this journey. I mean, I knew you when you, and my own memory of it too. I remember coming into Trixie's, and I remember you having like a little tiny bite of food from the refrigerator, and then you'd put it away. You know, I remember all of that. And I also remember us having some pretty like open conversations about you. Like you said to me, you know, the way I look is important, and you know, getting fat would be my nightmare. Like, and it wasn't, you never said it in a judgmental way. You just said it in a like that was a fear, right? It was a legitimate fear that you had.
Yeah.
And even I remember some of the criticism you had around, you know, your stomach, that you didn't want anybody to look at it. They couldn't touch it. Like there was a lot of like, I felt at the time there was a lot of shame and fear. And, and I just wonder, because to me, that's so opposite to who you are. You know what I mean? Like you're very, very, like as a friend to me, you're always like, you look gorgeous. What are you talking? You look great. Like you're the one who lifts it, like you did with those girls. Here you are struggling, and you're trying to help them, you know, put a sandwich in their mouth. So where do you think that comes from, where you held all of this, and correct me if I'm wrong in making any assumptions, but it's like, here you are holding fear, shame, all of this awful stuff, and you're carrying that burden on your own. Where was that coming from?
I don't know where it comes from, honestly.
No.
I honestly, still to this day, you know, in everything that I ever worked on, or the treatments or the people that I talked to, I still don't know that we'll ever have gotten that real idea of how it all came to be out. I don't know. And I still feel very self-conscious about how I look, but I know I'm in a different place altogether. So it's a different way of thinking about it. But I know, when I first met you, for sure, like, I mean, I think the little bites and everything was like when you met me, I was quite sick. I mean, I still am very, very thankful to Trixie's. I mean, they were one and only place that hired me, given my state. And again, I think it's because I connected with the two women that owned it on a different level at the time. And so they were thinking, well, I think we'll just give this girl a shot, because maybe that's what she needs. And I worked hard. I did. And there were days where I could hardly get through the day, but I did it. So I feel that in some ways, maybe that was a bit of a turning point right there, was getting back into a workplace, or getting back into a state of normalcy with seeing people and meeting people. And don't get me wrong, people like you along the way, and other, you know, there are so many people from that boutique that I am still connected with in totally different ways, but that I think it all started with a lot of people wanting to take care of me.
Right.
So a lot of people wanting to offer me something that maybe they didn't know if I was getting that or needing it, but they just offered it anyway. So I did meet some amazing, amazing women at that place.
Yeah, and they are amazing. I know a lot of them, and they
even Brenda Badome. I mean, Brenda, I think, wow, like she gave me these, she made pants just for me. Like I still have them. They would fit, like, I think my daughter, but she made pants just for me in like the tiniest little sizes, because she knew how much I loved her pants. But there's just, so I remember Brenda and her husband, and I remember that, like, they, even to this day, like I said, I still have those pants.
Oh, I love it. Wow, that's so great. Yeah, you know, a lot of people, I mean, we still care about you so much because we saw what you were going through, but in some way, I have no idea how, your first priority was to give to us. And I think that's why you're such a dear friend to so many people, because despite all of your struggles, and you were the one always giving back, and it's amazing. Yeah,
sure.
I love it. So then I remember walking into Trixie's one fine day, and you were extra glowing. And you said, Moni, I met my man. And I was like, what? Yeah. I didn't tell the story, and it's truth. You can tell it if you want.
At the time I was reading the Christian Grey novels.
Yeah.
And I kept telling Monica, I've got to meet my Christian Grey.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, and then, yes.
Yeah, and then you said, I met my Christian Grey. That was so classic. And then and then I remember you saying to me, and you're gonna love him because he's German.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
And so that was so.
After that you met him for the first time, but I know I had you for sure. I wanted to tell, and then of course our dear friends Günther and Chris, because they're German, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
To share the German love.
I know. I'm wondering, you know what? I almost think maybe he came into the store once when you hosted an event for me. It could have been something like that.
One of a kind. Right away.
Oh, could have been one of a kind. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's been so much fun because, with meeting Thomas and also having lost my dad, there were so many similarities because, and we joked about it too. You'd say, God, Thomas, like he said this and this. And I was like, oh, don't worry. That's just the German way. Like my dad used to say stuff like that. And I just love being around Thomas because, it reminds me of all that stuff. And he's such a good guy, such a hard worker. And so you met.
Working farmer. He was here earlier. Like he picks today to work on our back deck. And I said to him, you understand you can't make noise between this hour and this hour. Okay. 5 minutes before we go live, I go out there. It's got to come to an end now. Like, go find something. He's never at home. He just finished harvesting, so he's got time on his hands. And today he picks to renovate the deck. I'm like, no. Oh, my God. Anyway.
I love it. That's adorable.
And no matter how many times what are you doing today? No, listen to me. You can't make noise.
Oh, that's great. But anyway, you met Thomas.
And I met him through the boutique, really, too, because it was a client of mine there who one day just happened to say, are you single? And I was like, yeah, why? What do you got for me? And she was like, love him. He's this fabulous German grape farmer. He lives in Niagara on the lake. And I was like, oh, this sounds great. And then she's like, he's got 3 kids. And I was like, of course, I had no kids at the time. And I was like, well, all right, let's give it a go. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, Natasha, I love your relationship with Thomas. I think it's so great. And we don't have to get into this, but I also admired you at the time because I remember before Thomas, you were going on dates. Oh, yes.
Somebody would say, I got a guy for you. You go, sure, I'll go on a date. No problem. And that kind of thing. I've been with Wayne since 1996 or 97. So like, to me, like going on dates would be like, oh my God, I feel sick to my stomach. And you were like, whatever.
It was fun. Why not?
Yeah. You always had that confidence to, we'll give it a whirl. So let's talk about baby T and how all that came to be. That's very exciting.
So so I met Thomas, obviously, and things worked out quite well. And I was still, when I met Thomas, I was not the healthiest. And then just slowly over time, I think I just started a lot of self-healing and getting to a different place because I was in a different place mentally and emotionally. And I knew up until that point, I really never saw myself. I'd sort of written off the fact that I wouldn't have kids. I was, broken relationship, and that relationship, we didn't want kids. Like, it was not even it wasn't like, oh, I missed out. No.
Mm-hmm.
And then being so unhealthy and not being physically well and being in my mid 30s here at this point, I was like, well, I just know kids aren't going to be part of my life. And I have two.
Yeah. Oh, you're good. Sometimes the internet cramps.
Sorry.
That's okay. It happens sometimes. No worries.
So I had sort of just decided I'm going to be the best auntie there's ever going to be. And I still think I am. And and then as our relationship progressed and I realized that maybe having children was something that I really wanted to do. And now I'm almost like 38-ish, I'd say at the time. And, went to my doctor like, okay, I think, I want to have a baby. And my doctor looked at me and was like, well, you're not going to have a baby because you're not healthy enough yet. So until you're at a certain level with your health, I can't even help you facilitate this. Like, I thought, oh, I've heard about Clomid and all these other drugs, and just somebody give one of those to me and and my doctor was like, yeah, no. I can't, as a good physician, try to put you in a state of pregnancy when you're not in a good state yourself. So, it was kind of like back to the drawing board and back to getting myself to the point where I was a bit healthier. And then finally to the point where I was actually ovulating on my own, which for the last 6-7 years I didn't even do. So, and then my doctor was willing to sort of help me and guide me along. And unfortunately, nothing really worked. And then he did send me to the most amazing specialist. And the rest is history. 3 hard years of working hard and then finding out that you're pregnant was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
As you know, I think you were one of the first people I told. So and I was still working at the boutique at the time. There was a lot of excitement around that, as a lot of women that I'd become close to were sort of all on my journey with me. Like, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen?
Yeah.
And then fast forward to we didn't know what we were going to have. I didn't want to know. So fast forward to being told I had a little girl. Well, it was probably the best moment. It was the best moment I've ever had. So.
Oh, that's great. And for people who are tuning in, that come to the One of a Kind show, everyone remembers the bravery of Natasha, because Tatiana was born in December. And Natasha did the full 11 days with me at One of a Kind. And I loved you. Had all these cute little tight sweaters, like the Hello Kitty Christmas sweater. You looked so adorable. And we were laughing, like the two of us trying to navigate behind the booth with the belly, but it all worked. I mean, the belly wasn't that big. You're pretty tiny.
The best was that, like, Monica, you didn't even, people would be like, aren't you nervous? Like, it didn't even faze you that I could, like, go into labor in Toronto at the show. You're like, now we'll take a chance.
Yeah. Yeah,
I have to say, remember some other vendors we know were a little bit jealous because they wanted a pregnant woman, because it did help.
Oh, yeah.
People love a pregnant woman.
Yeah, people love to buy. Yeah, so I just left you alone. I go relax in the lounge.
It was great. People love a pregnant woman.
Oh, that's so great. And I have so many great pictures of you from that time, because we were together. And then not only did you do the show with me, you did the open house at the studio with me. You were here for driving here for another 10 days or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it was all worth it. And I think I had, maybe 2 weeks at home with the baby. And you were like, so when are you ready to come back and do some glamjulz stuff? And I was like, what? Really? Okay.
Yeah. And then we had the little playpen here. And
the playpen.
I know. And then heartless Tentimony. As soon as baby T started walking, I said, well, you better get the playpen out, and you're working from home now.
But the
Oh,
funny thing is
so
that Miss
fun.
Boink didn't mind
Yeah.
baby and she doesn't necessarily warm up to kids, right? But she was very
No.
almost protective of her. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
they
She
meshed quite
was.
well.
They sure did.
Yeah, they did. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, that was great. We have so many great years, that we've
Really.
accomplished a lot together.
Yeah, I honestly think that all the shows we've ever been to and everything we've done, I would have never guessed that we'd be doing this now in this world. I would have,
No.
I might have predicted that maybe like I might go on a different path or I might, but the fact that we're not working together because of a pandemic, I would have never guessed. Like,
Yeah.
no.
No. No, I never would have guessed that either. And
So,
and I have to also give you a big round of applause for your sweetness with me when the pandemic hit, because I went from like you and I, like we had talked about 2020 plans and this is what
oh,
we're gonna, to then being like, oh my God, like is anybody even gonna buy one piece of
I
jewelry
know.
this year? Like that would be the last thing, on their list. And you said, okay, so Moni, I guess I'm not working for you.
Yeah.
You ripped the Band-Aid off for me.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Well,
but you're so great and you're always contributing and you're always there, and I feel your
yeah.
energy all the time.
It's been a hard transition, I think, for so
Mhm.
many. And I mean, I
Yeah.
think even with the stress of the whole thing, and I think that's when you really realize who are your friends and who aren't, and who is there for you. And like, yeah, obviously, I knew that you're still going to want my advice and my help, and that's awesome. And
Yeah.
whatever we do for each other at this time is what people need to be doing for each other. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
miss it. I like I said, I can't believe there's no one of a kind show right now. We'd be just meeting to get together and discuss the plans and Z plans. I used to call them Z plans, but
Z plans,
yeah,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I know. And all our sleepovers and our
Oh,
late nights.
I know. Well,
You
here's to
won't miss my snoring though.
oh gosh. And I won't miss the crappy hotels that you put me up.
Oh my God. We had some good that, you know what?
We
I
didn't
feel like we could write a
last year
book.
though, so we got ripped off because that was my choice. My beloved Buffalo Bills were playing on the
Oh
Thursday
yeah.
night, and Monica was lovely enough to give me the night off because they play like once in a million years on that night. So we got ripped
Yeah.
off of our late night last year, but
Yeah, but we've stayed in some good like sketchy
oh.
place because I just go onto Hotwire and find something.
So everybody, I have to say, like, this is sort of segueing off topic, but
Yeah.
so Monica is this person that, like, honestly, pre-COVID, okay?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, her sausage could roll on the ground. Oh, let's eat it. Oh, let's stay in this hotel. Where is it? Well, I don't know. Who cares? What's on the? Let's just. It's fine. All of this, right? And there's me, little Grimsby Natasha. Like, I'm terrified of every hotel. I don't want to touch anything I don't know. Then fast forward, COVID hits, and Monica turns into this like, I'm going to live in a bubble. I'm not going to touch anything. Da, da, da. And then there's Natasha going, really? Do you think we need to do this? Because I'd still like to get together with you. And you're like, Monica's like, we're not getting together. And I'm like, why not? So it's just weird how this whole, like, I don't get me wrong. I very much respect the COVID protocols. But
Yeah.
when it comes to being one of my besties, I was ready to bust out and see her. And here she became like, I'm not going to touch anything without my plastic gloves on. And I'm like, remember the sausage you ate one year? You remember that?
You thought I was going to be an anti-masker. And by the way,
Oh.
our friend Teresa is watching. Look, Teresa.
Oh, I love it.
I have my Wonder Woman mask
It's
because I'm interviewing my friendly Wonder Woman here, friend.
Yeah. I was going to on my Buffalo Bills one, but they tragically lost last night, so they're not worthy of my mask today.
Oh, jeez.
I'm wearing the horse today when I went out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's great. I wish we could tell.
Thing,
Yeah.
even the food thing, like it's so hilarious. Like even when I was, on the road to recovery, I mean, our lunches comparatively had the one of a kind. Monica brings a suitcase for her food, and me, I'm like, one little apple, one little
I remember us coming out of the car. Remember, like you drive up to the show, all the stuff, and then I'd have the giant bags, and you're like, "What's that? Is that like the cash box?" I go, "No, that's my lunch bucket." You're like, "Jesus."
Oh, yeah.
But I had like after breakfast snack. I had my lunch. I had a snack in between. Then and then remember, I'd go into like a panic attack at whatever 9 o'clock. I'd have my last snack. I'm like, oh my God, Natasha, I got no food left.
One time we were driving home and we hit the worst traffic, some accident. So we had to actually reroute. We ended up going through, I don't even know, Scarborough or something to get home. And Monica's biggest worry was she had to stop at a gas station and got Pringles because she had already used up her last reserve apple and there was no food left for the travel home. And she bought these Pringles, probably like $12 at the gas station. But that was her focus. Where are we getting the Pringles from?
Oh my God, I know. Yeah, so great. And in the meantime, you were such a trooper. Like, no, you guys, Natasha did not stay in Burlington with me. She drove back to Niagara-on-the-Lake every night, 11 days, and met me here in the mornings. And while she was pregnant. Oh, yeah.
And he would pick me up in Burlington at the Tim Hortons and drive me home so that I wasn't driving home at that hour.
God, your dad's amazing.
Between him and Thomas, yes, it was. I remember the time your mom and Thomas had a cafe.
Oh yeah, they had. That's right. They met at Tim Hortons. Oh yeah, I remember for the one show I dyed my hair that electric pink.
The pink.
And your dad, he looked at me and he said, "If I was your father, I never would have let you do that." And what am I, like 45 years old? I said, "Well, my father's not here anymore to tell me what to do with my hair." He was like, "Well, you wouldn't have got away with that with me."
Yeah.
But your dad, I love your dad. Cracks me right up.
And remember I had the skeleton pants on?
Oh yeah.
Oh, what is that you're wearing today? What do you mean, Dad? I didn't like those.
Oh, I love it. Well, you and I are both, and I think that's another part of our friendship that's so relatable is we are daddy's girls to the max. Like our dads rule. And I love your dad.
Yeah.
He is just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. I had to tell him today too. Don't call because he decided he's going to surprise my little one. Nobody loves Grandpa more than Tatiana, so she's getting picked up today by surprise school today from him. So
yeah, I still remember him when Tatiana was first born, and it's winter, and he's like, "I'm coming over to take her for a walk," and you're like, "For God's sakes, Dad, it's -30. Well, get her bundled up because I'll be there in 20 minutes."
Yeah.
And he was and look at her now, like soccer, horseback riding, gymnastics, all of this. She is such a outdoor.
She loves everything.
She's an amazing kid. Yeah, she takes it all.
Can't keep up.
Yeah, I think it's great. So, Natasha, darling.
Yes.
I can't believe we have already talked for over almost an hour here.
Oh, wow.
So I would like to invite you to join me for an Instagram after party.
All right.
And I will direct you on that. And when we go over to Instagram, everybody, you got to follow over because I'm going to ask Natasha about her first love, George Michael. That's going to be the topic. And you won't believe what she did in her house growing up. But you won't find out about it here. You got to come to Instagram Live. Thank you, my darling. I love you.
Thank you, everyone. I love you too.
This has been fantastic. I'm so happy you're able to do this.
Yes, lots.
And
thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Right.
Okay, girl. So we'll see you over on Instagram.
All right.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Oh, you guys, that went by I feel like that was a 5-minute interview. That went by so quickly. I love Natasha. I hope you enjoyed the interview. She's amazing. So much bravery. She always comes from a place of love and positivity. Even in the most darkest times in her life, she still gives back to others, which is what I just love about her so much. So please come on over to Instagram, join us for a little live chat over there for the Instagram after party. And don't forget to check out the amazing Brenda Badome. You can go to her website, brendabadome.com, and do not forget, I repeat, do not forget to use the coupon code Get to Know Her, and you're going to get 13% off of your order. Go ahead and do that now. Thanks, you guys, and we'll see you back here next week. Thanks for watching.